It has been said that if journalism is the first draft of history, then crime journalism has a habit of being rougher than most. I've spent the past 40 years chronicling the roughest draft of history in the making, the evolution of organised crime in Ireland. From the front seat of what was often a white-knuckle ride, I've witnessed firsthand a lot of the seminal events which changed the face of the gangland that first absorbed me as a junior reporter. When I moved from the much more tranquil world of provincial journalism to the big city, I realised that rural crime was only a small part of the complex picture. My journey in crime reporting began while I was studying for the Leaving Cert. As an idealistic youngster looking for adventure, I wanted to become a war correspondent. In 1983, I was accepted onto a 2-year course in the School of Journalism at the College of Commerce in Rathmines, then part of the Dublin Institute of Technology, now known as Technical University of Dublin. It was the only journalism course in the country at the time, and each year 25 candidates were selected out of about 300 applicants. To qualify for a place, students had to get at least 2 honours in their Leaving Cert subjects, including English, and be successful at an interview in front of a 3-person panel consisting of the course supervisor David Rice, the then editor of the Irish Times Douglas Gageby, and, appropriately enough for the profession concerned, a psychologist. When compared to other occupations, journalism tends to attract a disproportionate number of eccentric people. The panel picked the applicants who they reckoned were suited to the job of a hack. What many journalists of a certain age refer to as Rathmines was the bedrock of Irish journalism. Amongst its alumni are several of the top names in Irish broadcasting and print media, international best-selling authors and several well-known newspaper editors. My class included long-term friends John Burns and Stephen Ray. As deputy editor of the Sunday Times, Burns made it one of Ireland's biggest-selling newspapers, and Stephen became the editor-in-chief of the entire independent news and media group. Another classmate was Earl Gearan, the BBC's intrepid and much-respected international correspondent. Then there was me, the guy who wanted to go to war. I didn't think that I had much of a chance of getting a place, especially when I had to explain why I had 3 secondary schools on my CV. As a rebellious kid, I was expelled from 2 and finally settled down in the 3rd, Carrigallen Vocational School, which, my long-suffering parents reminded me, was my very last chance of a formal education. The principal was Mick Degnan, an old family friend who decided to take a risk. Having to cycle 10 miles a day to get there certainly focused me on my studies. I told the panel the unvarnished truth. One of the principles I always stuck by in my life and career is to tell the truth, whatever the consequences. As a journalist, the people you deal with must have trust in you. I said that my parents were both relieved and surprised that I had actually managed to do my leaving and had then come out with good results. Then there was my explanation to the panel as to how I came by the still bandaged nasty head wound. I had sustained it a few weeks earlier when I stole my mother's new car and went for a joyride one night with a group of friends. My reckless escapade came to an abrupt end when I wrote it off after ploughing into a telegraph pole. We had a miraculous escape from what criminologists would describe as my primary act of law-breaking deviance. To cap it all off, when the interviewers asked me what kind of journalism I fancied, I remembered the look on their faces when I said war correspondent. This kid is mad. My dad, Benny, drove me up to Dublin in the dusty pickup truck he used in the family business, which was quarry drilling. We looked a right pair of local yokels from the bog. Thanks to me, the pickup had become our primary mode of transport. Dad asked how I did. I said I'd done shite, and as we drove back to Leitrim, we discussed what I was going to do next.